How's it going, everyone? Data here, and welcome back to the Vancouver Canucks franchise mode here on NHL 24. Moving into episode number 16, the 2027 draft and off-season. In the last one, coming off of a 53-win season, our first President's Trophy in 15 years, and the first of our tenure here with the Canucks. We were entering the postseason as favorites, but met the same fate as we did back in 2012 when we won the President's Trophy, losing in round number 1. It was a 7-game heartbreaker to the St. Louis Blues. The Blues went on to lose to the Wild, and the Wild to the Sabres, our 1970 expansion brothers. So hopefully it means something for 2028. But the 2027 postseason was a rough pill to swallow. It was a tough one. Although we did have some flashes of brilliance. Tyler Bertuzzi, 5 goals, 8 points. He was tied for the team lead in points with JT Miller and Quinn Hughes, all scoring 8 points in 7 games. Elias Pettersson scored 5 goals as well. Willander, 5 assists, which was great. Other things that were okay, Ratu, 4 points. Karamaki, his first postseason, he scored 3 goals. But then when we go down the list here, Sam Reinhart, 31-goal season, 0 goals in round number 1. Andrei Kuzmenko, former 30-goal scorer, who, had a 20-goal season, 0 goals, 3 assists, -4. Down the list we go. Philippe Danault, 7 games, 2 points. Anze Kopitar being out due to injury was a huge blow to our lineup. He had registered 2 assists in game number 1, but then was out for the rest of the series. In the regular season, he had scored 58 points, plus 27. He was centering that second line, which was on fire. So taking him out of the equation really did not help. But Colson, Hannafin, who was a plus 36. A plus 36 on the season, was a -5 in the postseason. So just a few things that didn't come together for us. The goaltending, we ended up rolling with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen for the entire postseason. He was 3-2-2, a couple of heartbreakers in overtime, .915 save percentage. Of course, looking back on things, would it have been different if we put a different goalie in there? Maybe. But UPL never really gave us a reason to say we need to pull him. He gave us enough of a chance to win, and it was the scoring and the defense that did not come through for him. So that being said, year number 4 is in the books. We went from first round exit to conference final exit to Stanley Cup Final exit, back down to a first round exit. So heading into year number 5 in 2027-28, we know we have a great team, but there are changes that have to be made. Headed into this postseason, it is a very interesting draft class, I'll tell you that. When we look at the deeper selections, there are a lot of players who are 1 year away or NHL ready into the beginning of the second round. A few guys who I've definitely watch listed. Niskala's one guy we looked at, Brown, Goldman. So we have a late first round pick. Even Pero Zabato was a big one. We have a late first, we have a late second, we have a couple third round picks, we have a couple players that we could potentially use as trade bait. I would love to trade and try and get maybe 3 second round picks. Of course, I'm getting ahead of myself at this point, but that's kind of my thoughts for this draft. It's a solid draft class, and I think we're going to want to try and get as much of that top-level talent outside of the first round as possible. Also, we're looking at our extensions headed into this offseason. Not a ton to take care of. Willander, Manson, and Wheeler won't be coming back, and then some depth aside from that. So it's not going to be a huge time for the extensions, but we will want to be doing our due diligence in free agency and a few other things that we will be concerned with. But before we can do any of that, we have to consult the assistant general managers who had a lot to say after that postseason loss. So maybe a little longer than usual dedicated to the comments. If you prefer to just go ahead to the offseason itself, you can skip ahead a little bit. But if you want to hear the decision-making process and my thinking behind the decisions that will come and be a bit more informed about the offseason, then this will be the time for you. So we'll start it off with Super Loser in the comments, who said, last year we threw it back to 1994 against the Rangers in the Stanley Cup Final. This year we threw it back to 2012. A devastating combo. I think we need to seriously consider a retool. Father Time is quickly catching up to a lot of our players. In our top 9, Ratu is the only player below 27. I would say don't forget Karamaki, but still, that's only 2 out of the top 9 who are below 27. On defense, Willander is the only player below 27 there as well. This team needs a youth injection. If this season is any indicator of how Kuzmenko will age, it's probably best to pull the plug now. His value is as high as it will be, and he could be used to trade for younger players / NHL-ready prospects. Reinhart at 31 is another candidate to be moved. I would target playmakers and snipers for these prospects. We already have Ratu and Pedersen as the two-way guys in our top 6, as well as O'Brien as the power forward in our system. The Sabres broke their drought this year. Next year is our turn. Good luck and go Nucks. Thank you, Super Loser. So many comments like Super Loser were saying that Kuzmenko definitely has to be on his way out. He had a huge down season. He wasn't good in the postseason. Anywhere we put him in the lineup, he brought down his line mates. On the first line, he was no good. The second line, no good. And then, after 3 consecutive point-per-game, 82-plus point seasons, he puts up 60, and he had only 3 assists in the postseason. He's making $7.95 million as a 31-year-old, signed on all the way until the end of 2031. So that's 4 more seasons. But keep in mind, this extension that we gave him at $7.95 million was signed during our time here as GM of the Canucks. It was also at a time when he was in that point-per-game plus pace. So that being said, Kuzmenko very likely has some sort of no movement clause in that contract. I don't think it would be super realistic to just dump him right now at the draft or on July 1st after a down season. If Kuzmenko were to want out, according to the storyline, he's continually on the third line, he's on a 40, 50, whatever, still a 60-point pace, and he wants to be in a team's top 6, he wants out, then it makes a lot more sense. Maybe we could rationalize like a 3-team trade list or something, but as of right now, I'm going to tell you all for this episode, I will not be trading Kuzmenko due to the likelihood of a no movement clause being in the contract that we gave him not too long ago. If we want to try and create a storyline for the beginning of next episode or for the trade deadline of next season, I'm definitely all ears. But for this offseason, just a couple of weeks removed from the postseason, we will not be trading Kuzmenko as much as we may want to, as much as I was saying I would love to last episode, especially now that he's down to an 86 overall. I think we have to hold ourselves to the contract that we would have given him and try to find a way more than anything to rejuvenate him. For Sam Reinhart, it's a bit of a different story. We did give him that extension. He signed on for 4 more years, same as Kuzmenko at $6 million, also 31, also disappointing, but at the same time, he's one of our only playmakers in our top 9, even our top 6 really, and yes, he scored 31 goals, but he does have that playmaking ability. Big 66-point season, 2 of his 3 seasons in Vancouver have been 65-plus points. I would prefer to keep Reinhart. It would be easier to move him, probably like maybe a 15-team or 12-team no-trade list type of thing we could think of. We'll trade him to a top contender if we were to trade him. But he's another guy who we brought in as a hometown player who's been producing well, just not showing up in the big moments. I don't know if I'm ready to move him just yet. If one of those 2 were to be moved this episode, it would be Reinhart and not yet Kuzmenko. A lot more comments that I read will ask for Kuzmenko to be moved out, but for this episode, as much as we may want it to happen, it will not be happening just yet. So that being said, we'll move to our next comment, and this is an interesting one because even if we're not moving out Kuzmenko, the suggestion still works. So in Gavin's comment, Gavin says, man, Vancouver really giving us their best Bruins impression. Really tough to see this great season come to a premature end, but that's how it goes. At this point, I don't think Kuzmenko is a top-line winger and should be traded. So regardless of a trade, here's the next suggestion. Maybe Aatu Räty has grown enough to be his replacement. Would a big-name free agent really be worth the money when their overall may be inflated and they turn into another Kuzmenko? I'd lean towards Räty being the guy and see if he can run with it. Then some thoughts on trading for the first overall pick. As great as that would be, it would be pretty impossible, unfortunately, the trade value, unless the team is looking to trade that pick. But even then, some of those can't-miss guys at the bottom, Niskala, Brown, Goldman, Pierre Zabottle, we'll do what we can. Great episode, Data, and see you in the next one. Gavin, thank you very much. Aatu Räty was a huge surprise to us this past season. He burst onto the scene in like 79 overall, low elite. We weren't sure if he was going to make it. 83, 85, now an 88 overall. Räty is listed as a centerman. I was thinking maybe we try him second line center, but we still have to admit that 70 faceoffs is not ideal. It doesn't disqualify him from being second line center, but it doesn't really put him at the front of the pack either. At the same time, we tried him on the first line left wing, and he had a solid second half of the season last year. He was a 34-goal scorer, he had 63 points, he was a plus 40 for goodness sake. So Aatu Räty will definitely get a look on that first line wing, since Kuzmenko has not been impressive. Now, could Kuzmenko reclaim that position and Räty ends up being our second line center? Sure, and I don't think that would be bad either. But just to say, this guy's been doing amazing things, so let's let him keep running with it. Why try and put a damper on what he's been doing and say only only second line. Let's give him that shot on the first line, and if things work out that he becomes second line center and first unit power play, that's no problem either. So Aatu Räty, he's signed on for that cheaper extension at $2.175 million for 2 more years. Then he'll be looking for his big boy contract. But this growth was really surprising, and we'll want to try and foster it as much as possible. Speaking of that potential Räty promotion, I'm going to hop over to this part of Cherry Coke's comment where it's mentioned something drastic has got to give in the offseason. Maybe a head coaching change, preferably one that prefers Räty in the top 6. If you remember, Räty has a bad fit in the top 6 and especially a horrible fit on the second line. So add in the storyline of the first round exit and a coaching change could make a lot of sense for us. Cherry Coke goes on to say goaltending was fine enough, but Reinhart disappearing in the postseason once more is very telling. Willander also needs to take that step in the following season, or maybe time to move on from him. Great video as always, Data. I know this Canucks team can do it, and we still are very much in the cup conversation. Very well said. We absolutely are. So thank you for that comment, Cherry Coke. Just to quickly highlight that Räty line fit and that what we want to be fixing if we look at this right here. So the first line, third line, fourth line, not bad. We want to try him on the first line, but he's not a guarantee there. It's possible he becomes our second line center for a very long time. I need to have a head coach that likes Räty in the top 6, whether it's the first line or the second line. And if there's ever been a time to make a head coaching change, it's likely after that first round exit when so many players did not come through. Speaking of those players not coming through, we'll hop over to Pat's comment now. This is actually a comment I have a bit of disagreement with, but I love it nonetheless. I want to hear those differing viewpoints, and I thank Pat for raising them. Pat says this was no EA curse. How do you not go back to the lines that won you the President's Trophy? Kuzmenko on the third line for most of the series, and having third and fourth liners mixed into the top 6. This was a disaster of over-tinkering after the Kopitar injury. For storyline reasons, either the coach or Kuzmenko have to go now. So Pat is not wrong at all. After the Kopitar injury, we did have to do a little bit of tinkering, and perhaps there was a little bit of over-tinkering, but I do believe that I stand beside my decision at the end of the day to make the lineup what it was. What we saw all season was that Kuzmenko was dragging down whatever line that he went on. Although our lines were great, and yes, got us the President's Trophy, the line always doing a lot of the heavy lifting was the line that didn't have Kuzmenko. In the first half of the season, Kuzmenko played on the first line, and our second line carried. In the second half of the season, Kuzmenko went to the second line, and our first line carried. So for Kuzmenko to have been demoted to the third line because he was still not showing up when he needed to, I believe I still stand by that decision. I don't think putting him, and by the way, his 3 points were all power play points, even strength he did nothing for 7 games. I don't think my decision to put him on the third line was one that I regret. And on top of that, it's not like we had fourth liners in the top 6. We promoted Bertuzzi from third line to first line, and he was tied for the team lead in points, 5 goals, 8 points. So again, a decision that I stand by. It's unfortunate that things didn't work out. We were throwing players around. The one thing where I would say I definitely admit that was probably a bit of an overreaction was Podkolzin, I think, playing at least 1, if not 2 games on the second line. So he only had 2 assists, -1 in 7 games. I think that was a mistake. But I don't think that the scramble kind of mindset that we were in because of the Kopitar injury was unwarranted. So Pat, I appreciate you raising that point. That's my reply to it. I'm sure there's going to be some disagreement in the assistant GM booth, but I think the most important part of any decision that we make is trying to base it in some sort of estimation, calculation, or just best feel as possible. Running through just a few more comments, I want to highlight just one section of Cheating Heel's comment. In Cheating Heel's usual novel, we have a great paragraph here that suggests a couple of interesting defensemen. We know we need a new third pair right D, and Cheating Heel says maybe we have enough money to sign Nikishin. I'll show you Nikishin's attributes in a moment, but he's 25 years old right now. He plays both the left and the right, a real-world Hurricanes prospect who's now in free agency here in 2027. Otherwise, if we want more of a short-term thing until a prospect makes the jump, we could look at Pietrangelo on a 1-year deal. So it'll definitely depend on who's there come July 1st, but we know that we will want to fill the right side on defense. If we look at potential defensemen who are going to be UFA and look at overall, not a ton of options stand out, but Nikishin is one of them. Left D, right D, 25, 85 overall, two-way defender with 4-star defense. I think playing third pair would be a bit beneath him. 6'4", 5-star defense, 5-star physical, excuse me. I'd love to have him on board, but we might have to try and carve out top 4 minutes for him if we get him. It would be expensive to sign him right now to whatever the $5 million that he wants and play him third pair, hoping that he takes Hannafin's spot in a couple years. It might be a little too early for a move like that. Meanwhile, a veteran Band-Aid like Pietrangelo, if he's going to be out here, Wilinder. Here he is. If he drops to free agency, 81 overall, 37 years of age, that could be an option for us as well. But at the same time, 82 shot block, 82 stick checking, top 6D potential, a candidate for some regression for sure. So we don't want to just sign a name, but Pietrangelo and Nikishin are two that we could look more into come July 1st. Hopping over to the Discord server now, we had a good comment from Intelligent Dice that said, I think we have to explore a coaching change. Yes, they won the President's Trophy, but that seems to be in spite of the overall team fit and not because of it. You could make sweeping lineup changes to adapt to the coach. Kuzmenko out, Bertuzzi pigeonholed, questions on where Ratu would fit. Or you could just change one thing in the head coach, and that is definitely the way that I am leaning here at the beginning of the offseason. We'll close out with one last comment in the Discord server coming from Slim. He's been waiting to make an episode, the class clown of the server in his own words, often leaving caps lock rants. I'm going to go ahead and give him the spotlight for this one. Slim saying, I would keep Soucy, Maroon, and Coleman. Well, Maroon retired, but Soucy and Coleman, since those two especially were the only guys who showed up on both sides of the puck. I know Kuzmenko had an off year, but maybe we can say that that was an off, that's all it was. I was especially disappointed with Hanifin's performance as a two-way D. 1 point and -5 in 7 games. Unacceptable for a vet. Finally, goaltending. I know Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen had great numbers, but man oh man, he gave up some bad goals. I know the defense in clutch time was not good in front of him, but man oh man, if there's a prime example for a saying of stats don't tell the whole story, he's the perfect example. I want to say that it's not on UPL at all, but I just hope in future playoff runs we get the clutch saves when we need them. That's all my thoughts, and please do not choke again. The class clown of the server. Slim, we love you. Thank you very much. And by the way, I won't be replying to it on episode. I already did it in a comment reply, but a big shout out to Jenzy McKenzie who left a huge comment that ended with, I can't tell you how many times I've edited this comment. This is probably the most times I've edited a comment ever. This shows how invested I am in your content. Jenzy McKenzie, from the live streams to the videos, being here when it's happening, to leaving thoughtful responses after the fact, I thank you for your contributions to our series, and I can't wait to see your name engraved on that cup with everybody else. So, all that being said, super long comment section today because there was so much after that heartbreaking postseason finish. If we look first at the extensions headed into the draft, we see Wilinder, we see Manson, we know Foodie's gone. Lekaramaki could get a deal right now. If he were to sign, it would be like a 2-year, yeah, he has 3 more years of RFA, so probably a 2-year bridge. Then we could do a 1-year deal in a couple of years to keep his RFA status, and then it would have to be his big deal. So that'll be an easy signing. Blake Coleman, I would like to keep him for depth. I wouldn't mind a 1-year, $1 million type of thing for him. Josh Manson, we know that he won't be able to stick around at $5.5 million or whatever else. But for Tom Wilinder, we could go 3 years and keep him as an RFA, or we could go 8+ years and he's a UFA, and then he's only, it's not a terrible deal at like whatever it would be at 85%, just above $5 million. But the problem is we need to be thinking about when his contract is expiring. If we sign Tom Wilinder for 8 years right now, he'll be a UFA at the age of 30 in 2035, and defensemen will be wanting a lot more by then. So purely because of the EA system and the ability to utilize the RFA years, we'll do 3 years on Wilinder, get him to 25, and then if we can do an 8-year extension from there to get him to 33, that will be best case scenario. So 85% of 4.725 would be 4.01. So we could probably go down to 4.025. Let's go 4.05 for 3 years on Tom Wilinder. He hasn't been the guy we were hoping he would be just yet, but I will say that his growth has been consistent in overall. 80, 82, 84. Now the question is, will he plateau at 84, or can he take that next step up to the high 80s? That'll be our question for this next season. But he was a plus 24. He ate a lot of big minutes last couple of years, playing almost 23 plus minutes last couple of years. So Wilinder is going to be worth it for the next 3 years, but he has to continue that steady growth. Manson, Wheeler, everybody else we can wait on. Lekaramaki, I wouldn't mind doing right now in case there's a little bit of a jump. Let's do it now. 2 years, $1 million. Makes sense after a rookie season. There you go. And for Blake Coleman, we would do 1 year, $1 million, right? Yeah, it's like 0.99 something. So yeah, 1 year, $1 million should work for Blake Coleman to be a 13th forward kind of guy, 35 years of age. Blake Coleman, let's see what you say about that. Aside from those two, I think we could wait on everybody else until after the draft. We didn't really have to send those either, but just I want to make sure we lock in a good number before things might change. Goaltending, we're okay. Rodrigo will probably walk. We'll think about that later. So with all that being said, we're ready to head into the draft now, ladies and gentlemen, with our intentions being like Danault likely moving out. And aside from that, there's a lot that could unfold as the draft goes on. Right away, we see that none of the top four picks are up for grabs, but pick number 5 could be a potential trade piece for the Dallas Stars. If it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it would be this medium elite guy, Oscar Schroeder, who is NHL ready, similar to Patrick Kane, A+ puck skills, 17 years of age as well. Yeah, that would be super tempting, but I don't think we would have the value for a 5th overall pick. He is a gem. I think we can do our due diligence. Let's at least sim up to that pick. I didn't think we'd be doing this at all yet, but here we go. The draft always presents new opportunities. So the first 3 picks, we see McLeod, the medium franchise, going to the Blue Jackets, then Shelley, defensive defenseman, and Bartkowski going to the Flames. The Blackhawks then take Wells, and he was an 81 overall to boot. So that guy Schroeder is still there. If Dallas were to move the 5th overall pick, we don't really have a ton to trade back the other way. That's the problem. I could give you 28. I could give you whatever, 84. I can give you Philippe Danault, but I don't know if that really pushes the needle for them enough. And they're being over the salary cap with that. Okay, with Pitlick it works now. Okay, but then let's just, for example, if we offer this, the value isn't up to snuff at all. So why would they really want to do this, right? The 5th overall pick for a 1st, a 3rd, and Philippe Danault. We have to throw in some sort of rookie skater to make it worth their while. And even then, I'm just kind of looking at it for the sake of looking at it. We said Vasanen could be a guy that we move on from. Vasanen, but even if this went through, I'm not sure if I would feel good about it. If this went through, I don't think I'd feel good. That's the thing. Would this technically would this be accepted? Maybe. But a 3rd-line center, a top 4 deep prospect who hasn't really been panning out, and pick 28 and a pick 84 in exchange for a 5th overall pick who's going to be an NHL-ready 17-year-old, it doesn't make sense. I can't do it. Just my own conscience will not allow me to do that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. In other series, I would definitely do it. In my own offline series, I would do it. In this series, we're trying to keep realism going. I can't do it. 79 overall. Schroeder is at 17 years of age. He looks great. 87 passing. I would love to have him, but I can't rationalize it. I can't, unfortunately. We weren't even thinking about doing it, so it's not like it's a huge deal. But, yeah, we can't. No one else really up for grabs here until pick 19. We select at pick 28. If we want to, like I said, our plan was maybe even to trade down from that 1st in the first place and get a bunch of 2nd-round picks, right? So if we could get like 2 picks in the mid-30s, that would be the best-case scenario. So if we look at the 2nd round, any team with 2 picks here, I don't think so. The Hurricanes, maybe the Red Wings or the Senators have 2? The Red Wings have 2. The Red Wings have a couple in the 2nd round. I'm not sure if that would even be exactly where we want them, though. Might even be a bit late, but just for example, they have 3 firsts. If we want 36 and 43 from Detroit, would that even work? I gotta do a little research here on my own, so allow me to just take a few moments for that. We'll try this little package for the Flames right here. I'll give you a couple of defensemen. We have Vasanen, who is a former 2nd-round pick in our first draft. He has that medium top 4 deep potential, but 73 at 21, I don't see any NHL upside really at this point, so I wouldn't mind capitalizing on his value now. And then there's Siegel. I liked Siegel, another 2nd-round pick. I liked him a lot, but again, it's not far removed from having drafted him, but at 20 years of age, 66 overall, 2-star defense, at least if he was maybe 3-star, I'd say maybe there's some hope, but I don't know. I just don't like the attributes. So Vasanen and Siegel to the Flames for that 3rd-round pick. Sweeten it just a touch. Okay, I could do that. I could sweeten it just a touch and move those 2 D-men out. I'll add 212. Here's a 7th to make it work. Trade accepted. All right, so thank you, Calgary. That is the first pick that we want with us now. Would it be easier to trade for like 36 that they don't want to move or 34 that they do want to move? Probably 34. So let me see if I can make a deal here with the Blackhawks. Maybe Philippe Danault goes back to the team that drafted him. Do they want them or they don't want them? They're conservative buyers, though, so I think it would make sense for them to say, okay, here's the 3rd-line center. I would give you Danault. And I would give you pick 28. I'm going to trade down. So what can you give me back? Could I take a 4th and a 6th next year. Just thinking out loud here. I could probably even get more, but let's try not to keep, yeah, I won't chase it too much, a 4th and a 6th. So Philip Danault off to Chicago, the team that drafted him. We get a 4th and a 6th next year for trading down. Thank you, Chicago. That gives us some more value next year. We didn't have any other picks aside from our own next season, so happy to have that. Philip Danault, thank you for your time here. He spent 4 full seasons with us, so that 56-point season in year number 1 as our second-line center was great, but since then, 41, all right, then 36 again. He's been going down in ice time. I think you'd want to be on a team where he can have a little bit more responsibility, and he wasn't going to be getting that here. So Danault, we thank you for your service. One of my favorite players in the real world NHL, but we just can't do it. So let's sim to pick 33 here. Let's go back to round number 1, see the round that was. We made 2 trades so far. Danault is out, a couple prospects out. We have a couple picks next season, plus those 2 seconds. So nothing really crazy here. There's that guy Clarence Bertuzzi we were thinking about at number 10, 10th overall, going to the Hurricanes. Medium top 4D, medium top 6 forward with decent overall. Yep. What did the Blackhawks took? Brind'Amour, a medium top 9 forward. Okay, so nothing special. Let's take a quick timeout here. This is 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. None of those picks want to be moved, so I'd probably try to make it work with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, I will give you my second at pick number 60 to get your second at pick number 39, and I'll throw in a third at 92. So a second and a third to move up for an earlier second. I'll take back a 6th maybe. Could I do that? A second and a third for a second and a 6th isn't quite what they want because they don't want to trade it. That is the problem. I think even straight up it wouldn't work. No, woefully insufficient. Straight up isn't sufficient at all. Can we swap 7ths even? I'm really trying to do everything I can to get value here. We swap 7ths in 2028. No, Pittsburgh played around too much. You lost my interest. The Kings want all 4 of these pieces. 60, 92. Let's throw in Ulrichsen and Forsell. Ulrichsen, medium top 9. Former 4th round pick in 2023. Interesting attributes with the shot power, but honestly, at 22 years of age, being a 70 overall, nothing crazy in the AHL. Let's move on from him. What do you say to this, Los Angeles? All right, take another crack at it, they say. We add a 6th in 2028. Does that get us any closer? All right, trade accepted. Thank you, Los Angeles. Goodbye, Pittsburgh. All right, so now here's the big moment, ladies and gentlemen. GM Data has put his eggs in the second round's basket, and I like these 3 prospects that we're targeting for 33, 34, and 37. Number 1 would be Niskala. Number 2 would be Brown, and number 3 would be Goldman. I understand the interest of Backlund being a low elite defenseman, but honestly, we just traded away 2 defensemen who we drafted in the second round who never really got any growth. 3 years away with low lead potential, that's very risky, especially as a defensive defenseman, someone who won't see as much point production and therefore not see as much growth. I'd rather acquire defensemen through drafting with high picks or getting some later gems or doing trades or free agents or whatnot. But a pick like this right now, when there's NHL-ready players, although it's medium top 6 versus low elite potential, I think I'd rather that medium top 6 forward. So first and foremost, Mikko Niskala from Liga, big boy, 6'4", A+ league, 7 goals, 8 assists, looks pretty solid across the board, well-rounded. Probably one of those guys that has like 3-star everything. NHL-ready, similar to Vladimir Tarasenko. Without further ado, the 33rd overall pick is Mikko Niskala. Welcome to Vancouver, my friend. You are 77 overall, medium top 6. I forgot to say that was probably my prediction for overall as well. NHL ready, but a late pick, so likely in that 77 range, and here he is. And everything between 2.5 and 3.5 stars, beautiful. No wonky stats, exactly the type of guy that we would be looking for. Mikko Niskala, very happy to have a player like him in the system. That is great. All right, so the first pick, I think the safest of those picks is a winner. Our next pick is now Cody Brown. Cody Brown, I see the potential for some more risk here. 6'4", 18 years old, great stats, but in a C- league, 93 points in 72 games in the WHL. At the same time, 1 year away, the B's on the skating and defense, whatever, but the A+ shooting, that's really standing out to me. What really pushes it over the edge in my mind is that he's a power forward. Power forwards with A+ shooting, at this point in the draft, are likely 4-star shooters, or like 3.5 4-star shooters, probably not higher than that, but in that range. If we get a 3.5 or 4-star shooter with pick number 34, a big 6'4" power forward, I'd be down for that. I know we have Caden O'Brien in the system, but it wouldn't be crazy to have just 2 power forwards. So Cody Brown from the Edmonton Oil Kings of the WHL, welcome to Team Bello. You are 75 overall. Okay, good. Now the shooting is 4 stars. Let's go. Oh man, I know this game too well. I know it too well. 4 stars for Cody Brown. All right, so nothing else that really jumps out at me, but the 4-star shooting is enough for me to convince, and even the superstar ability. Crease Crasher, great rebound opportunist. Great. Okay, Jennings. Backlund. Okay, with our selection now, we're going to go ahead and select Tom Goldman from the Val d'Or Foreur of the QMJHL. Again, a guy with A+ shooting, but he's a two-way forward, so maybe he's like a 3.5 star kind of guy. NHL ready, Sean Couturier, so hopefully another guy who's like a 77 overall kind of player, so that Goldman, Brown, Niskala, they can all be pushing for a spot, not next season, but the year after. In the Q, 62 points in 66 games. Tom Goldman, welcome to Team Bello. You are 79 overall. Okay, 79 for Tom Goldman, and he has the 3.5 star shooting. I know this game. I know this game. And he even has the superstar ability, make it snappy. There you go. So Tom Goldman, two-way centerman, 79 overall out of the draft. And then you have Brown at a 75, Niskala at a 77. This is why you look at the NHL ETA when you make your draft picks, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Whoa, so our next pick comes at 84, still a little ways away, but I'm very content to have gotten those 3 players. I know it took a little bit of value. I know we're missing out on other players who we would have wanted to draft between now and then. Even Pierre Zabotle. Oh, I wanted Pierre Zabotle. But the same thinking goes into it. Low elite, is he going to grow? I don't know. I would have liked it a second. But if we have our next pick at 84, we miss out on Reza, Milroy, Veilleux. Who do we take at pick 80? Was it 80 or 84? I already forget. I just said it. Aikson, a low top 6 forward. Axelson, low top 6 forward. Chevery, low top 6 forward. Yeah, they're all forwards now. Next defenseman is Carter Cook, who's a gem. 3 years away. That's similar to a guy like Backlund. What was his name? Who we just passed over before, the 6'5" guy? Carter Cook. Do we wait for Carter Cook, or do we trade up for a Pierre Zabotle right now? That is the question. Backlund, that's who we passed over. That's the question. Anybody that wants to trade? The Hurricanes do want to trade, but we're really low on trade value. That's the problem. I think we're going to have to wait until 84. I really want Pierre Zabotle, but we're going to have to wait till 84. We just made those 3 selections in the second round. I don't think we could trade for much more. We're really scraping the bottom of the barrel here. So, let's see. Eberle, the other guy we wanted, he was medium top 6, 67 overall. Travis Eberle, power forward with 3-star shooting at 17. Medium top 4. There's Pierre Zabotle, low elite, 77 overall. Yeah, I wanted him. I know Louis wanted him in his comment as well. It's just, we don't have the trade value to make it happen. And if it came down to Pierre Zabotle or Goldman for that last one, I'd still take Goldman. So, a bunch of medium top 9s going there. Okay. Then in round number 3, hello, there you go, low top 4D, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so at pick number 84, we see our next up for the pin would be Laurent Chevery, 6'4", two-way forward, another guy with size, but 5 years away, so he would definitely be like a 52 overall or something. Clayton Lutzer, 3 years away, also a two-way forward with low top 6 potential, probably the better option. I know he's shorter, I know he's not as heavy, but 3 years away versus 5 years away, I think there's value in that. But medium top 6 versus low top 6. Ugh. Then there's Herdina, even Cook, like we said. After this pick, where's our next selection? Yeah, 124. So if we're taking the defenseman, it would be now. So I think we're going to go in terms of what we need then. I know there's some good forwards with medium top 6, low top 6, but these are guys that we just drafted 3 of them. We have them in the system. We really could use some defensemen in our system. There is a medium elite, but an enforcer in Tiny Voros. Would it be better to go for the low top 4 guy who's 3 years away, or Voros who's medium elite, but that would definitely be more of a trade piece. An enforcer with medium elite potential, we'd probably trade him before we ever use him. I'm going to say let's go for the gem. Carter Cook, good old Peterborough boy from the Peterborough Petes of the OHL. He's a gem, 6'4", low top 4. Let's go for it in terms of positional needs. Carter Cook, welcome aboard. 63 overall, low top 4D. Yeah, he's going to be a project. 1.5-star defense. Let's just cross our fingers and hope that he gets a little bit of growth somewhere. I'd rather hope for growth from a third-round pick than from an early second-round pick. So what were those other guys going to be, though? Just, of course, always the curiosity. Lutzer was low top 6, 63. Chevry was medium top 6, 54 overall. So, yeah, he would have been a big project as well. I'm trying to think of players who might be able to play one day, not just be trade bait in the future, as we've been seeing with some of the other prospects that we're using this episode. There's Voros, medium elite, 50 overall. Yeah, a lot of half stars around there. Tiny Voros. Always funny to see an enforcer named Tiny. Our next pick is at 124. We were interested in Yves Latendresse, relative of Guillaume Latendresse. Medium top 6 right here, Viveros, JC Viveros, 5 years away though. Eastwood is tempting, Jeffrey Eastwood, 5 years away as well, at 17 years of age. I like Eastwood, a medium top 6 versus a low top 6 there. Anyone else that we see pinned between now and 124? Not really, we could take Lowe, Jonas Lowe, medium top 4D, but 5 years away. Hartnell, medium top 6, Jason Hartnell, 5 years away. Fritz Meyer, 5 years away with East Skating. All these guys are going to be just cross your fingers and hope for growth type of guys. Yeah, I'd say the guy that we would trade up for and the guy that we would draft are pretty much the same. Medium top 6 forwards who are 5 years away. So let's just sim to pick 124 and take who we want at that point. We could go for another defenseman here in Jonas Lowe. I don't know, 5 years away really turns me off though, I have to admit. A sniper, we got a lot of two-way forwards. From the Halifax Mooseheads, Jason Hartnell, 5 years away, 6 foot. Fritz Meyer, also a sniper who's 6'1" here. CDD E D minus D minus. CDD E D minus D minus. He was ranked 133, jumped to 128 in the previous Central Scouting. I'm gonna say let's go for Fritz Meyer. On the Fritz, let's go a little off the board here for the German. Why not? Marcus Fritz Meyer, welcome to the team. 47 overall, medium top 6, of course. Probably neither one either makes it to the NHL anyways, but there you go. Fritz Meyer, welcome to the team, buddy. Between now and, was it 140 something? Anybody that we really want to go for? Doesn't look like it, eh? Let's just go around. Yeah, we'll probably take that low elite guy there. Actually, it was 156. Maybe he already went. 156. No, he's still out there. Page, low elite grinder gem. Anyone else who's pinned, by the way? Oh, there's a lot of pinned out here. Yeah, even Walter, low elite Walter. But here at 156, where's our next pick? 180. So we could go 156, then wait for 180. We probably wouldn't get Walter. We'll get the low elite grinder now. We'll miss out on Walter though, the low elite gem playmaker. Toby Walter. Do we want him more? And there's still other guys. Corey Mara, low elite two-way D, low top 6s. There's some good late value here, I have to admit. So I think maybe we trade down from this pick where we would have taken the low elite grinder. I'm going to try and work something out to try and maximize the amount of players we can get here. Give me a minute. Minnesota, could I give you 156, 180, and Ty Young, who we're about to let walk to free agency anyways, for 169, 191, and 223 isn't sufficient. Can I give you a Rodrigue instead of Young? There you go. Okay, trade accepted. He was going to be walking anyways. So Olivier Rodrigue off to Minnesota with those 2 draft picks. So we essentially trade 2 picks into 3 picks, and whether it's at 180 or 190 or 200, it's all the same because these are guys going into 220s, 250s. So, Minnesota, who do they take? They take a medium top 9. Actually, it's not bad, medium top 9. We would have picked number 169 to take Toby Walter. So Walter is right here, low elite playmaking gem. Happy to get him on board. 48 overall, okay. Going to pick number 191. Who's going to be our next guy here? If we look at who is pinned to the watch list, tough choice now. Tough choice. What? Did Mara just go? Hey, Mara just went to the Avalanche. Low elite, the Italian, Corey Mara. Hey, I wanted Corey Mara. Oh, actually, you know what? He's 20. No, you know what? I take that back. He was 20. That probably wouldn't have been as enticing. So you know what? Actually, it didn't work. It worked out fine. It worked out just okay. Anyone else here? Everyone's 18. All the guys who are pinned are still 18. Okay, now we look a little bit deep. Everyone's 5 years away and low top 6 forward or low top 4D. All of them will be here for our next 2 picks. I'm thinking we take at least one offensive defenseman. Oscar Markstrom, left-handed, 6'1", or Jérôme Fournier, right-handed, and 5'11". 1 goal in 30 games versus no points in 9 games. I lean the Swede here. Oscar Markstrom will be our first guy that we take. Defenseman with the low top 4 D potential, 47 overall. And all the way down at pick 223, the second to last pick of the draft, we'll go to our next pin player. And that will be probably a forward now. They're all left wingers. So it just comes down to maybe the player type. Probably not the enforcer, Raphaël Beaulieu. No points in 3 games. 1 assist in 28. 3 points in 31. Beaulieu has decent stats, actually, for an enforcer. I got to give it to him. Not bad, but a terrible league. 28 points, but well, C-, not horrible. Anyone with attributes that stand out. All with... Beaulieu has the B- physical. Bah, you know what, Beaulieu, you're talking to me, buddy. Raphaël Beaulieu avec choix numéro 223. Bienvenue à l'équipe, mon ami, from the Sherbrooke Phoenix. 56 overall, low top 6. Yeah. You know what? It's not crazy. The physical definitely boosts it, but we'll take it. And the last pick in the draft goes to Buffalo, medium top 6. So it was a good one. Our top 3 picks there in the second round were all solid prospects. Cook, good defenseman who's 3 years away, not like 5 years away. And then from 124 to 223, those last 4 picks were all kind of, cross your fingers and hope, but you never know. At very least, it's good value type of guys. So it's been already, I don't know how long the episode's going to be after I do the editing, but for me it's been super long from the comments and from the drafting and the potential trading. It's already been a super long one. I don't want to take up too much time in the rest of the offseason, but we'll do our best here. Scouts, couple scouts who need new contracts. Okay, are we on board here? Blake Coleman extends, Willander extends, Lakaramaki extends. Okay, at least that's good news. So here at the re-sign phase, there shouldn't be much to do. We have $10.583 million. And most of these guys are not going to be coming back. Josh Manson, we love you, buddy, but we can't bring you back at $5+ million or even 4.8 for more regression. Who knows? We love you, but we cannot pay that kind of money, so we're going to release you. Blake Wheeler, you're going to start next season at like a 79 overall, so we're definitely releasing you as well. And for the rest, I'll make decisions off screen probably. The prospects will get signed. Dallas Johnson will get signed. Main roster goalies. We'll sign Oscar Janssen. I think we want to get him into the AHL this season. Ty Young ended up not getting traded, but we could just release him. I don't think he has any value, so there you go. And that's about it. So I'm going to re-sign those scouts, do a bit of this depth UFA, AHL squad kind of thing, release most of them, but re-sign some of them, and we'll come back to Advance a Day in just a second. All right, so it turns out that a lot of these players won't be coming back. Like Foudy wants $1.3 million, Kupari wants $1.2 million. Same for Linus Karlsson, same for Sampo Ranta. So all these guys are going to be released ultimately. It's unfortunate. I would have loved to keep Foudy, Kupari, 80 overall kind of guys, but it makes sense. They want to find a team where they can maybe probably play bottom 6 minutes as opposed to fringe 13th forward / AHL. So we'll let them walk, but we could always revisit them in free agency or players who are similar to them. So Karlsson, he's been here for a long time. Ranta will walk. These will be the UFAs that we sign on. The RFAs were the other Elias Pettersson wanted $1.2 million, so just RFA for him. What we got to figure out now is probably Zach Jones and Olsen. I'm not sure if we really how much defense we need. If it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then whoever else 6 in the NHL plus McIsaac as the 7th D. Jones, Olsen, then already got Hunter Brustovich. You got Kudryavtsev, Mino, Pettersson. Yeah, we could probably bring those guys back and still have enough room for whoever else would be in there. So Zach Jones, 1 year, $800K. He wants a one-way deal, eh? So no, why would I do that? So I'll just qualify him and pay him $880K on a 2-way deal. And Olsen, if we want to keep him, we'll have to call him back up and then send him back down so that we're not cheesing the system, because we got him off waivers last year and he got sent down to the AHL right away, which is not actually how things work. And that's about it. So a couple scouts as well. We'll advance a day and see here. Oman's back on board. Same for McIsaac, Johnston, Kudryavtsev, Olsen, Frolov, Jansen. Beautiful. So now if we look at all expiring, that's everybody, just a couple of RFAs who are left in the mix. Great. And we still have $10.833 million to play with. Goaltending is taken care of as well, I believe. Yes. Okay. So great. A quick re-sign phase, which is exactly what we wanted. Scouts signing on. Beautiful. Just a couple of them. My Davidson. What a name. We'll definitely make some more changes on July 1st. That'll just about do it. So here we are now on July 1st, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see who is in the free agent pool here for 2027. Lane Hudson. Hold on. Look at the UFAs. UFAs out here. So Nico Hischier is the big one. Jake DeBrusk wants $11 11.25 million. Morgan Frost, Brad Marchand did end up dropping. Yamamoto, Pesci, Hartman, Tyler Seguin, Lehkonen, Sharon Govich, Luostarinen, Novak. Nikishin did drop it. He wants 6.95 million. It wouldn't make sense for us to sign him and play him on the third pair. Goalies, just out of curiosity, Kochetkov, Hill, Merzlikins. So if we look at right defense, and we're thinking about third pair kind of guys, probably Manson and below. Of course, Manson wants too much. I'd probably be looking at a Rasmus Ristolainen, a Colin Miller, and Ilya Lyubushkin, probably in that range. I do have to say that Ristolainen does stand out to me, kind of like a poor man's Tyler Myers, big 6'4" guy, solid on the physical, the shot blocking. I wouldn't mind getting Rasmus Ristolainen in here on third pair. I know that in the real world, he can be a bit of a liability, although he's having, I think, like a career year, one of the best seasons this season. I would be able to say let's throw a couple million his way. Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I won't do it just yet, but just when I look at the initial ideas, that's who jumps out at me. For the forwards, I don't think that we're really necessarily going after anyone, because if we look at our forwards and we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as the top 6, Kopitar, Podkolzin, and let's say Lekaramaki on the third line. Then the fourth line is some sort of mix of whatever, Coleman, Anderson, Dolan, Duheim, whatever you want to do. But I want to get Richie in there as well. Richie's probably fourth line center. So Richie, Coleman, and maybe Anderson, Dolan on the fourth line. That's pretty much our lineup. And it's not even thinking about the potential players who would grow. Like Goldman, I don't know if we can even think about him just yet. But even O'Brien, who's definitely in the mix as well. So I would think we don't need to sign any forwards unless we're making a trade where Reinhart or Bertuzzi or someone like that moves out, and we never really got to that point of saying we're doing that. So Bertuzzi also, by the way, now that it's July 1st, we can look at extensions for next year. If Bertuzzi would want to stick around, he'd be looking at 4x6. So we definitely don't want to do that yet. I wonder if it would change by the time the start of the preseason rolls around. So keep that in mind. And for the goalies, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen on his $1 million deal, he'd want 3x5, which actually isn't crazy, especially just won the Jennings. I could see that working out for UPL if we want to stick with him as our starter. So yeah, not too much to do in free agency here. If we want to go back and lock in that right-handed defenseman, we could do that. If we want to just check if there's any other potential guys looking in the UFA, sorting by potential, Hendrix Lapierre, Connor Zary, interesting guys here. Nybeck, good prospects who never grew. Bobby Brink, some interesting prospects who fell in the 2027 free agency class. Only issue is if you were to go after somebody, it would have to be someone who's guaranteed AHL, not pushing for an NHL spot. We don't really have that room. So Stranges, Zary, I don't think it would make much sense to go for them. Probably Kisakov here, 77 overall, sniper, 4-star shooting, former second-round pick. Alexander Kisakov, why not? A little bit of potential left in him. I'll give him a couple of years. Why not? See what he says to that. Okay, I sent out a few contracts. We'll see who signs, and we'll reevaluate come September. Now, the big question of the post-July offseason is, of course, as we were mentioning a lot at the top of the episode, the coaching staff, namely the head coach. So Galina has been our head coach for a little while now. He's been doing very well. We can't lie about that. President's Trophy, 188, 115, and 25, a 61.1 win percentage, coming off of our best season with him as head coach. But we know for all the reasons that we already mentioned, we got to make a change here. Doesn't have a good fit with Ratu as well, which is a big no-no. 59% team fit with the team like this. Of course, still missing some names, but 59 as it stands. Now, we do also have Ramirez as our associate coach. He's already A-rated, an A overall coach. I remember that we tried to put him in the head coach role, and he didn't really have a good fit. So just to get a reminder of that, if we just demote Galina for a moment here and put Ramirez as interim head coach, we said his team fit is 63%. Actually, that's pretty good, but it's not much higher for Ratu. That's the thing we got to keep in mind here. If we were to go into the staff free agency, there's only 2 coaches who are A- rated. That's pretty much the minimum that I'd want to go for. Dowd at 51% fit, and this guy Matheson at 53% fit. So honestly, I think I'd say let's go Ramirez. Is that crazy? To get an A-rated generalist as our head coach instead? So make him the head coach, and then Galina can be the associate coach because he's still good with all of his attributes with the A-rated, A+ offense, A+ power play and all that. But Ramirez has... Actually, I like Ramirez a bit more. Better penalty kill, better teaching. So Ramirez can take over as head coach. It wouldn't be the first time we've done a head coach, associate coach swap, and we'll go from there. I wouldn't say that either of those 2 guys in free agency stand out more than Ramirez does. So even though it might hurt a little bit that it's not a perfect fit for Hughes, it's not an amazing fit for... It's not a crazy great fit for Pettersson, Hopefully a great fit for Hannafin, a great fit for Susi on the third pair, good fit for Hronik. Hopefully that'll be enough, and a bit of a better fit for Ratu, even though it's still not ideal. He's just one of those players that doesn't seem to get coaches who fit with him, I guess. Is there anyone who fits with Ratu? This guy here, Walker Fiddler, 60% fit, and a great fit for Ratu. Anybody else with good fits? Not really. Okay, this guy's 66. Ryan Suter, hey, look at that. So it seems as though it doesn't have to necessarily be generalist or defense. It just comes down to the preferences. But I don't want to hire a B-rated coach because that'll have other negative effects. So let's go with Ramirez and see how our lines look come September. Maybe we could sign Ryan Suter to be like an assistant coach or something, or AHL assistant coach for 1 year and then promote him the year after, maybe? Like if I demote Siegel to AHL assistant for a moment in the musical chairs here, and I want to sign one of these B-rated guys. Fiddler had a good fit, but I don't know, he'd probably be a bit too good. Ryan Suter makes a bit more sense as a player who's recently retired, wanting to get his first look at a coaching position. But let's, you know what, if I could sign him, and he wants to be an NHL head coach, if I could sign him to be the assistant coach, but then demote him, and then in future years we give him a chance, that's an interesting storyline. So 8 years, 1.8 million, just for fun. Let's see what Ryan Suter says. If not, we'll just keep our coaching staff as it was. Okay, so advancing a few days now, not much to wait for, just a few of those AHL type of contracts. Okay, happy to join the team as Ryan Suter. Welcome to the Vancouver Canucks organization. We'll put you down in the AHL for a season, and you'll go from there, buddy. So we're going to put you AHL goalie coach for a moment. Siegel promoted back to NHL assistant coach, and Suter can be... Actually, he can be... Ferraro can go down to AHL assistant. Suter can be AHL associate, and he'll serve under the AHL head coach and hopefully be a part of our NHL staff someday in the future. So there you have it. That'll be our coaching staff as of now for next season. Let's sim to the beginning of next year now. We'll get a few of those AHL contracts. Oh, I forgot about scouts. Actually, our scouts are pretty great. Most of them are A-rated. A few C's here. So if there's any Dell, Extraliga, or SHL scouts... No, I missed out. Too bad. But it's not the end of the world. The majority of our scouts are A-rated or A- rated, so I think we'll be able to survive. Keep on sending to next year. Apologies, I was focused so much on the coaching. Kisakov, Pedal, Twamala, Villain, all on board. Very good. Susi and a third for 2/3. No, thank you. Susi and a fourth for 2/3. No, thank you. Everyone wants Carson Susi now. Right now, he's going to be the big guy we got 100 offers for. Let's sim through the offseason, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll see you at the beginning of the preseason where we can catch up on any growth and get an idea of what these line combos will be headed into year number 5. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. Okay, here we are at the beginning of the preseason, and I forgot 2 major things. What you've been seeing so far in this episode has been over the course of 2 or 3 days, actually, because I can only record for so long because of my eyes. I just recently got laser eye surgery. Things start to get blurry if I look at the screen for too long, and when I come back, I keep forgetting things. I totally forgot about Ristolainen, who I said we were going to go in sign, so now we got to trade for him. Luckily, he doesn't have a lot of trade value, so it won't be hard. But second, I also forgot about the draft class. It's so every off season I always want to set the draft class to be, you know, between the medium high and high low and all that stuff. And back in the 2026 off season, we had set the draft class quality to medium and the generated prospect quality to high through the random number generator. Unfortunately, we're going to have back-to-back seasons of medium and high. Could that have been what the random number generator gave us anyway? Maybe. It could have been a repeat. But I'm sorry that I didn't do the random number generator. I didn't sign Ristolainen. It's just, it's not my usual way of doing things. I usually do an entire episode in one sitting, and to break it up over 3 days, I really feel the difference. I really feel like I'm not as connected to it because I'm forgetting what I had just done the previous evening. So I'm sorry about that. I hope that this won't be going on for too long and my eyes will be good to go sooner rather than later. But that being said, I apologize. We're going to try to retcon it right here. 7th in 2032. Of course, we're looking to save some salary in the offseason to take on 2 AHL players and move out 2.5 million. Yeah. That changes everything. No. Now I refuse. You need to sign Lane Hudson anyways. Here you go. 1 year, 5.6 million. I'll give you my first and my third. I'll get it back in a trade. We got to play EA Voodoo. Here we are. We're playing EA Voodoo. Let's advance a few days. Lane Hudson, what do you say? Make a decision soon, buddy. Come on, Christmas is coming. All right, accept your offer. Thank you very much. Now we got to see if Montreal matches. Preseason's coming up. There we go. They are not willing to match. First and a third. Welcome, Lane Hudson. Great. Now you're thinking, do we keep him? No, we're not going to do that. We are helping the universe. The Canadiens spend all their money on these random free agents like Ristolainen when they needed to sign Hudson. Now we go to Montreal. Hello, Montreal. Would you like to please give me Rasmus Ristolainen? And what did I get? My first and my third in exchange for 1 year of Lane Hudson, signed on for you for one more season. Here you go. They're over the salary cap. No problem. I'll take back some junk. Because they're in the AHL. That's why they're in the AHL. Okay, give me Artem Zub then. Give me Artem Zub. You'll call up Colin Miller. That good? There we go. Good. Good, Montreal. Let me guess. Okay, it's an absolute no-brainer. Thank you. Assistant GM best roster. Now I'm going to go ahead and trade that defenseman away. Washington. Great. Okay, this is what you do now. So Washington, you give me a 6th round pick. Actually, I have to give you a pick with it as well. And what it is that is now I trade you back the 6th round pick. Hold on. Let's do this. I give you a 6th and my 7th in exchange for this 6th right here. And then I'm going to take this 6th and trade it back to you in exchange for my 7th, just to keep the universe balanced. Oh my goodness. I hope that this was a lesson for anybody who has to figure out stuff when things don't go right like it did for us. Done. Fini. Finally. Let me show you the lines for 2027-28. Okay, so here we go to begin year number 5. Here's how the growth and regression went over the offseason. JT Miller at 34 years of age is down to an 87 overall. Elias Pettersson at a 93. And I put Sam Reinhart on the top line just for the moment because it gives it the +5. He's an 87. On the second line, we could see Bertuzzi, Ratu, and Kuzmenko, 85, 88, 86 respectively. If we were to put Ratu on the top line, it would still maintain the +5 with Reinhart. With Bertuzzi, it's a 0. With Miller, it's a +4. With Kuzmenko, it's a +1. So keep that in mind. Just a few different ideas we could have. On the third line, O'Brien's up to a 79. Kopitar down to an 81 with bottom 6 potential. And Lekaramaki up to an 81. Good news. Fourth line, put Colson, Ritchie, and Coleman, 81, 79, 78. On defense, Quinn Hughes and Philip Hronik might be together once again with a +2 because Hughes and Willander get a 0. Hannafin and Hronik would get a +3, but Hannafin and Willander get a +2. So essentially we can go +2, +2, or 0, +3. On the third pair, Ristolainen and Susi get a +3. This is amazing news. By the way, Ristolainen signed on for 1 year at 2.545. We were going to sign him about 2 years at 2.5, so we can always just wait till January 1st and give him another 1 year extension for 2.5 and go from there. So the defense like this is +2, +2, +3. That's pretty solid. So we're taking a bit of a hit on the offensive chemistry, but the defensive chemistry under Ramirez does get a big boost. It's just that Ratu doesn't really see anything better. He still has a poor second line fit, and even his fit anywhere in the lineup is not very good. Just his preferences don't really fit the average coach, I suppose. So Ratu, by the way, he did also get 2 more X factors. Big tipper and quick pick added to his superstar abilities. So that is the forward, that's the defense. Goaltending, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen at an 85, backed up by DeSmith at an 81, or by Silovs at an 80. Also Jared Anderson-Dolan at an 80, and McIsaac at a 79 as 13th forward and 7th D, respectively. Down in the AHL, we're looking at growth from Dallas Johnston, Luke Misa. That's probably about it. Brustovic, not much here. And of course, Oscar Janssen, who we drafted at, was he 17 when we drafted him? And he was already a 74 overall. Spent another year in the SHL. Now he's coming over at the age of 19 to be our starter, backed up by Bobby Stoll, who was drafted in the 4th round of 2024. So that is the organizational makeup headed into year number 5. There will definitely be a lot of ideas for line permutations, and that's what we'll want to experiment with in the preseason. So please let me know those thoughts down here on YouTube or over on the Discord server, link in the description, so we can look a little bit more at what works, what doesn't, and how we'll start the season. If we're looking at potential extensions, any difference here? Bertuzzi, no, he wants even more, I think. Carson Soucy making 2.5 would want 3 million, and then Kopitar, Risto, we can't extend them just yet. And Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, he wanted what, 5 million? Actually, we could take him right now probably. 2 years at 3.8 something. I wouldn't mind extending UPL right now, so let me know your thoughts on that. Also, our unsigned players, Goldman still a 79. Niskala, yeah, all three of these guys still at the same overall that we drafted them at. So Niskala technically could play in the AHL, but if we sign Goldman or Brown, they have to play in the NHL or be sent back to their junior squad. So I don't think we really sign any of these three guys, unless you really have an idea that Niskala and Johnston and Misa should play together on the top line in the AHL. I think that'll probably be it. Oh my goodness, let's close off the episode by just scrolling through the trade blocks quickly if anything piques your interest. What a marathon. This was like a 3-day process for me, but still a long offseason, even with the cuts. So in Anaheim, Duclair, Wenberg, Dickinson. Arizona, we see prospects. Boston, prospects. Buffalo, prospects. If anyone, I'm not looking too in-depth here. If anyone catches your eye, please stop me. Vasanen, by the way, grew from a 73 to a 75 to start this season. Maybe could he have a little bit of depth NHL potential? Maybe. But that's why it made sense that the Flames would have wanted him. Hurricanes, nobody. Blackhawks, nobody much. Not much there. Avalanche, not much. Blue Jackets, Werenski, Pesci, Goudreau, Texier, Fabro, and Dumba. Dallas, nobody. Detroit, Zadorov, Salo, and Ekholm. Nurse, Allison, and Kulak in Edmonton. Florida, Verhage. Wow, what a contract there. Dubois, Gourde, Anderson, Fisher, etc., all here in Los Angeles. Minnesota, we see prospects including Hemming and Kumpalainen. Montreal, Philip Machar on the block. Rolston, Schneider. No one in Nashville. Devils, Dougie Hamilton. Oh, look at all these expiring deals. Oh boy. Clifton, Mata, who we just traded there in a retcon deal that didn't get us anything. Don't worry about it. Not much for the Islanders or the Rangers. Not much for the Senators either. One prospect there. Sanheim, Tippett, Carlson, Shillington, Ferraro, Kate, some names in Philadelphia. Gensel, Carlson, Hyman, Crosby, Graves, Letang, Giordano, signed on for 2 years at 43 years old. And Seamek, wow. Big names on the block in Pittsburgh. San Jose got Sundqvist. Seattle, Dunn, D'Angelo, Lindell, Aho, and Burrows. St. Louis, Garland, Burakovsky, Giroux, Saad, Greenway, and Shen. Tampa, got some prospects. Toronto, prospects. Vegas, prospects. Washington, Bjorkstrand, Krause, Jenner, Perbix, and Mackey. Winnipeg, nobody. So if anybody stands out for a trade you'd want to see between now and the trade deadline, let me know. But as always, we'll look at it again at the halfway point. By the way, now that we're at the start of the season, we see our full lineup. Ramirez had a 60% team fit. A lot of it inflated with some of those depth guys, it looks like. Our top guys, not great. Like, Galena could always come back, but we said we wanted to make a difference. Do we full on fire him? We could always do that. And these two A-rated head coaches, A-minus rated head coaches, are still out here. 56 and 57. Neither like Ratu much. Damien Dowd likes Ratu a bit more, but it would come at the expense of a few other players as well. Do we think about Damien Dowd? Or do we go for a B-rated coach? Would that be a good idea? I think probably not, but if there's enough support, I would consider it. Oh, by the way, I just noticed this in free agency, and I'm definitely doing it. Aturatu's brother, Akuratu, 5th round pick of the Coyotes in 2019, here in free agency, 79 overall, medium top line potential. Yeah, we're definitely going to be signing him. But I don't think there's anybody else to really sign in free agency. But we got to get the Ratu brothers together here in Vancouver. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that does it for me. What an episode. My goodness, what a marathon of an offseason. A solid draft. I like our prospects. I like our growth from our players. Are we content with this lineup, though? Do we have the storyline to say, let's move out Reinhart or Kuzmenko or whoever else right now? Do we give them a chance? Do we want to try different line experiments in the preseason? Leave all those thoughts down here on YouTube or over in the Discord server. Link in the description. I'm exhausted. I got nothing left to say. Please do leave a like if you enjoyed. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already for all of our ongoing series here on the channel. Vancouver Canucks on NHL 24, as well as the San Francisco Starfleet, our live expansion franchise mode series. MLB The Show 23, soon to be 24. And breaking news and analysis in the real world of hockey. More and more coming as we get closer to the real world trade deadline. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for taking the time to enjoy. I'm looking forward to hearing all your thoughts headed into the next one to kick off year number 5.